Both Leon and Weiss used their strengths, fighting evenly against each other. At the most thrilling stage of the duel, Leon discovered a flaw Weiss' defense. He seized the opportunity and prepared to use his final move against her. Could he defeat her in this fight? After the warm-up, Leon and Weiss locked eyes, their gazes firm and resolute. They studied each other carefully, unwilling to miss even the slightest movement. Both awaited the signal to begin the duel. A gentle breeze swept across the training ground, lifting the sand into the air, as if transforming it into a battlefield. Meanwhile, Noah and Muan sat on a bench nearby, eating popcorn as they eagerly watched their parents' impending duel. Muan happily swung her legs, savoring the sweet taste of the popcorn. Inwardly, she praised how delicious it was. Just as she was enjoying her treat, her swinging leg accidentally knocked over a bottle of pineapple juice sitting next to her. She let out a surprised exclamation, reaching out in an attempt to catch it. But it was already too late. The pineapple juice toppled and spilled onto the ground. Leon and Weiss, already on edge, turned their wary gazes toward the fallen bottle, mistaking it for the signal to start the fight. The instant the paper cup of juice hit the ground, Leon and Weiss rushed toward each other like lightning. Muan stared at the spilled drink with deep regret. "Ah, my pineapple juice," she murmured. Noah, however, kept his eyes on the duel, calmly remarking, "The fight has started." Leon was the first to launch an attack. His expression was serious, showing how much he respected the duel. With a powerful stomp, he propelled himself into the air. Clenching his right fist, he gathered energy before swinging a charged punch toward Weiss. Weiss quickly noticed Leon's move. She crossed her arms in front of her chest to defend herself, planting her feet firmly to stabilize her stance. Leon's punch, charged with immense energy, slammed into her crossed arms. Though Weiss successfully blocked the blow, the impact cracked the ground beneath her feet, revealing the sheer power of Leon's attack. Weiss seized the moment when Leon left an opening. With precision, she extended her tail from below, aiming to sweep it toward his chin. Leon, sensing the danger from below, braced himself, gritted his teeth, and leaned back with all his strength, narrowly dodging Weiss's attack. When she saw that her strike had missed, she immediately swung her tail again, launching another attack at him. Leon leaned back further, supporting himself on the ground with both hands. With a swift motion, he performed a backflip, once again evading her attack. As Weiss's assault ended and before she could react, Leon shifted his position. He transitioned from supporting himself with both hands to balancing on one hand and quickly changed his direction. In one fluid motion, he extended his left foot, channeling magic into it, and kicked Weiss with all his might. Weiss reacted quickly, raising her arms to block his attack. However, this strike was much more forceful than Leon's initial assault. Although she managed to block it, the sheer force of the kick sent her flying backward. Her feet left deep marks in the sand as she skidded across the ground. She extended one leg behind her and gently placed a hand on the ground, barely managing to stabilize her balance. Weiss furrowed her brow, her gaze fixed cautiously on Leon. As she replayed the strength and precision of his recent attack in her mind, she realized she was at a disadvantage in terms of physical combat. "I don't have an edge over him in physical skills," she thought. "I need to create some distance." Weiss decided to shift her approach. She resolved to use her dragon flame to gain the space she needed to turn the fight in her favor. Weiss brought her left hand closer to her right, channeling powerful purple magic. The energy swirled around her hands, lifting the surrounding sand and radiating immense power. Leon chuckled softly as he observed her preparation. "It seems the queen doesn't want to fight me up close anymore," he remarked. Weiss ignored his comment, her focus unwavering. As long as I can beat you, nothing else matters." She divided the gathered dragon flame into several smaller portions, then waved her hands outward, sending all the flames hurtling toward Leon. Leon noticed the approaching flames and quickly sprinted to his right, doing his best to avoid it. But, When Rossweiss's dragon flame struck the ground, it erupted with a deafening roar, creating several deep craters in the training field. The force of the impact lifted sand into the air, scattering it violently. Rossweiss kept a sharp eye on the direction Leon was moving, quickly waving several dragon flames toward him to block his path. Meanwhile, Noah and Mwan sat nearby, watching intently. They could tell that the current situation seemed unfavorable for their father. Mwan stopped eating her popcorn, worry evident on her face as she stared at Leon. "Is Dad going to lose?" "He's been running away this whole time," she asked, her voice filled with concern. Noah picked up a piece of popcorn, her expression calm. Using what she had learned in school, she began to analyze the combat methods their parents were using. "Not necessarily," she replied. "Dad is using simple physical techniques to attack and evade Mom's attacks, while Mom is relying on dragon flames to keep her distance and create sudden opportunities. This shows that, in close combat, Mom doesn't seem confident in defeating him." She popped the popcorn into her mouth, finishing her analysis while chewing. Hearing Noah's explanation, Mwan's worry shifted to admiration. A bright smile spread across her face as she leaned closer to Noah, looking at her with sparkling eyes. "Noah, you know so much!" Noah's cheeks turned slightly red at the praise, and she looked away shyly. "These are just things the teacher taught us in class," she mumbled. Back in the training ground, Rossweiss continued to pursue Leon. She extended her right hand, sending more dragon flames flying toward him with practiced precision. It seemed she had already realized that Leon couldn't fully unleash his strength while dodging her magical attacks. A sly smile played on her lips. "Leon, aren't you supposed to be so fast?" "Show me," Rossweiss taunted, her tone light yet challenging. She continued launching the dragon flames, each one flying toward Leon with incredible speed. The flames exploded behind him as he narrowly dodged them. A few even came dangerously close, grazing him as they passed. The explosion sent sand and debris flying, some of which hit Leon's back. Leon continued dodging the dragon flames, occasionally glancing back. Not only am I fast, but I'm also tough," he said with confidence. Rossweiss responded with a disdainful smile, clearly unimpressed. She knew his words were nothing more than empty bravado. "Let's see how tough you really are," she muttered under her breath. A new strategy quickly formed in her mind as she prepared to strike again. Gathering the dragon flames in her hands, she pressed them together, focusing her energy as if condensing the flames into something more powerful. The dragon flames chasing Leon from behind suddenly merged into two massive, blazing forms. The two large flames moved with purpose, wrapping around Leon from both sides, cutting off any escape route. Leon's eyes widened as he noticed the enormous flames closing in on him. He scanned his surroundings desperately, but no clear path of escape presented itself. Soon, there was a huge explosion from the place where Leon was just now. Emitting a particularly bright purple light, the immense power of dragon flame also blew up a huge deep pit on the ground. The flying dust combined with sand to form thick smoke. This made it difficult to see what happened to Leon. Suddenly, a blue lightning bolt appeared in the thick smoke. Immediately afterwards, Leon rushed out from the thick smoke. He leaped high and left the smoke behind. He was wrapped in many blue lightning bolts. He gave a confident smile to Rossweiss. "Isn't it too slow?" Rossweiss. The strong wind brought by Leon when he rushed out scattered Rossweiss's hair. She noticed the electric current on Leon's body and couldn't help but be surprised by him. She knew Leon was using magic to force himself to get stronger again. This guy strengthened his body with thunder magic. And then Leon stomped heavily on the ground with his right foot, adjusted his direction, and prepared to attack in the direction of her. "No one can. Take away my 1-month holiday." His right foot stomped hard on the ground, and he flew in the direction of Rossweiss with a serious expression. There was even more lightning on his body than just a moment ago. It was obvious that Leon had strengthened his body with thunder magic again. For the sake of this hard 1-month's holiday, Leon decided that he was going to go out on a limb. Leon threw a few quick punches at Rossweiss. His punches were so fast, almost like lightning, and it's almost impossible to see his fist and the direction of his fist. Rossweiss gritted her teeth, carefully observing while quickly blocking Leon's fist with both hands. However, due to Leon's speed being too fast, She was now slightly feeling the strain. She frowned tightly, stopping Leon's attack, while feeling a little worried about Leon's current use of magic to strengthen his body. After all, Leon's body hadn't fully recovered yet, even though his current body cannot withstand the strengthening of thunder magic. He still behaves so recklessly. I need to end the fight quickly. She began to think about ways to quickly end this duel. She's exposed, Leon thought with a soft smile. He saw the strained expression on Weiss's face and knew that she was now somewhat unable to carry his attack. He noticed that her mind was somewhat elsewhere. He had a chance to give her the final blow. He stopped his attack and extended his left foot, sweeping towards Weiss's feet. At this moment, Weiss realized that Leon had attacked her in a different way. She didn't expect him to attack from under her feet. She wanted to dodge, but it was already too late. She tripped over Leon's foot and lost her balance a bit. Weiss struggled to lean back, trying to dodge Leon's next attack. She wanted to find an opportunity to attack, but the current situation made it impossible for her to fight back. Leon gathered all the thunder magic onto his right fist and extended it towards Weiss. He looked at her firmly with a confident smile on his face, as if expressing to her that the victory was determined. I won. Weiss was originally going to lean back and then find a chance to stand firm, blocking Leon's punch towards her. However, due to Leon's sudden attack on her, she was unable to maintain balance. Her hand reached into the air, and she was about to fall to the ground. As Leon was about to deliver the final blow, he noticed that she was unable to defend herself and risked getting hurt, so he immediately stopped attacking. Leon restrained his thunder magic and reached out to grab her. He pulled hard and pulled her back in his direction. As she was about to fall, after pulling Weiss up, they changed their standing direction. Leon placed his hand on her waist and supported her to prevent her from losing balance again. He held her firmly in his arms. Weiss's twin peaks touched Leon's chest. She felt the warmth coming from him, which made her feel a little tempted. This scene seems like a plot from a romance novel. Leon and Weiss's faces were both flushed. They all looked at each other affectionately. Leon slowly approached Weiss. Weiss said softly, "Leon." Just as Leon was immersed in what seemed like a romantic atmosphere, Weiss quietly extended the dragon. Flame gathered in her hand to Leon's chest. It was then that Leon sensed something was wrong. He lowered his head and saw that his chest had been burned by dragon flame. "Ah, it's burning." Leon looked nervously at the burning dragon flame in his chest and shouted loudly. He immediately let go of Weiss and tried to extinguish it with his hands. But the dragon flame seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. Leon was somewhat at a loss about this. Suddenly, Leon discovered a problem. Although it was burned, he didn't seem to feel his chest hot. Huh? This fire doesn't feel that hot? He lowered his head and saw that Weiss's dragon flame had slowly begun to disappear. The fabric on the chest was only partially burned, leaving some burnt marks. Weiss looked at him seriously. She was dissatisfied with his attitude. "Just now. The fight is not over yet. How can you distract yourself?" Hearing the loud explosion of dragon flame landing on the ground, Noah and Muin put down their snacks and walked over. Due to the smoke just now surrounding Leon and Weiss, Mom, who won in the end? Although Leon doesn't want to admit it, the fact is right in front of him. He had no reason to defend himself, so he had to admit defeat. He pouted and said finally, "I am careless. I lost this time." Weiss closed her eyes and softly praised him. "I have to admit that you are indeed very strong. You don't have enchanted armor or handy weapons. You can fight me like this just by relying on your physical skills. Before you, no one had ever been able to do it." Leon clenched his fists and said to her with some reluctance, "Isn't that right? If I fight with all my might, I can definitely beat you." Since Weiss has won against Leon, must meet her demands. Weiss gave him a sly smile. "Now that you've admitted defeat, don't forget our bet." Rossweiss's words were like a sharp arrow, piercing straight into Leon's body. He seemed to have been attacked by tens of thousands of points. Just now, all he was thinking about was pulling up the tsune to fall Rossweiss, completely ignoring the bet. I forgot about the bet. As soon as Leon thought of being manipulated by Rossweiss, he felt that his body was about to be at risk again. He lay on the ground, feeling like his soul was about to leave him. Noah and Muin crouched beside them, curiously looking at their father on the ground. Muin raised a question to Rossweiss. "Mom, did Dad die?" Rossweiss stood beside them, smiling at them, and replied, "Don't worry. He just used his strength too much and fainted due to exhaustion. He will recover soon." So, this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next chapter.